same time, as a guy like VolQuest's own Brent Hubbs, like it's this. I mean, I'm pulling out the boots. You know what I mean? I'm dusting them off. I'm putting my cowboy hat on. Yeah. I also got my jeans on because I don't know if we're going to have to go out there in the garden and get something together while we listening to the tunes.
Absolutely.
But I always know Brent Hubbs going to deliver. Brent Hubbs, what's happening, my brother?
Don't get fired. Don't get fired. Don't get fired. That's my goal this morning. I saw you two on the air together to start the day, and I said, Lord help, what man's get done today. Somebody fell asleep at the wheel. They put you two on at 6 a.m. I'm just saying.
It's been a good time, man. It's been a solid time this morning. And we couldn't wait to get to you, just so you know.
Could not wait.
Good. Too many stories. There's too much statute of limitations not passed yet on some of that stuff. So I will say this. You know when you're doing radio with you two guys, I'm talking to a star, and then I'm talking to a guy, because when Ramon was coming out, I could call Henning, Tennessee, and all 87 people in Henning could tell you where Ramon was. Ron Slade's the only man I know that went to Mouth of Wilson, Virginia, and nobody could find him. And I mean, there's nothing in Mouth of Wilson, Virginia, and they couldn't find Ron Slade.
It's so way.
Hey, Hub, since you've been in and out and up and down all of the Southeast, man, I got a question for you. Have you ever heard of or gone to Bon Aqua, Tennessee?
What?
Yeah. That's what we said, too.
Bon Aqua, Tennessee is in Hickman County.
Is that like a hair product, Bon Aqua?
We said, I asked, was it water?
Yeah.
Was it some new water company?
Yeah, but it is an unincorporated community in Hickman County, Tennessee, actually, man. It is located north Hickman County, about 9.2 miles southeast of Dixon, just so you know.
You set me up.
I didn't know.
Sending me all kinds of messages
Look, if most people know where Henning, Tennessee is.
Not to get fired. Now you're going to get some incorporated town after.
I can't wait to call Mike and Franklin and tell them you don't know where it's at. I can't wait to tell Mike and Franklin. Well, he Mike in Knoxville now, by the way.
Yeah. Sure is. Hey, listen, Brent Hubbs joining us right now. I'm looking at your article with the War Room. Summer workouts set to start, recruiting in full swing, hoops and baseball. There's so much going on right now, so much traffic. Settle some of this when you start talking about the summer workouts. One of the things I saw was their tackles. But a lot of responsibility being put on Lance Hurd and David Sanders and them having to grow up quickly. Brent, how important is this summer for them?
Well, it's a must for both, and kind of in two different ways. I mean, Lance has got a lot of experience because he played last year, but he did not play well enough, and he's got to play better. What is he like year two in this system? And I think, frame-wise, he's got everything you're looking for. I think the question for him is just mentally, how much better is he in the system? Where's he at with his physical conditioning? I think people forget last year, Lance had that knee procedure midsummer. And so he did not really get to work out much of July. And so when he got to fall camp, he had the bulky knee brace on, and he looked like a guy who hadn't worked out in a month and hadn't been conditioning. And it really affected him, particularly early in the year. And then he got the injury on top of that again and really never got started the way that everybody anticipated. So he's got to take a real step. And listen, I mean, when you're the number one offensive tackle in the country coming out of high school and everybody and their brother wants you, and Tennessee makes the commitment to help land you the way they did with David Sanders, you're going to the front of the line, and you're going to have growing pains, and you've got to learn in a hurry. I thought he made the back half of spring in particular, I thought he took a really big step to the point where you're like, okay, nobody's going to be able to hold him off. I mean, he's going to get the job. The question is, was it going to be week 3 or was it going to be week 1? Well, with Larry Johnson's departure, it's now week 1. And the urgency for him continues to be to add a little more weight, but really refine his technique and really mentally learn the game. Because when you're as good as he was in high school, he didn't watch a lot of tape. He just went out and pushed people around because he was just better than everybody else. He's not better than everybody else now. And so his focus this summer is strictly on his technique, particularly against those edge rushers that he's going to face week in and week out.
Yeah, there was a lot of acclaim, him coming from LSU as far as Lance Hurd. I can't remember a time where you had two tackles that were expected to be this great with the expectations of Hurd and Sanders. But also being able to watch Savage throughout his career and being around offensive linemen, you know they move as a unit. So what are we talking about that center guard triangle? Like, who are the guys? Because Mays is a guy that you're filling the void for that, whew, when you talk about a captain of a team, like
leadership,
he was one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. This time a year ago, it was put four guys in a bubble and don't get them hurt. And now you got to go practice them, right? Now you got to go play. Now Wendell Moy is going to be an anchor for you at guard. I love everything about that transfer from Arizona. He fits the bill. He is everything you thought he would be and then some as a transfer coming in. I think the $1 million question right now, Ron, is what are they going to do at center? Is it Sam Pendleton, the transfer from North Carolina? Is it going to be William Satterwhite and Pendleton slides to guard? Where do they feel like their best five are going to be? Is that Pendleton at center or Pendleton at guard? Is Sham Umaroff the best answer at guard to slide Pendleton inside at center? Those are the questions that you have. Here's the other thing, too, you wonder a little bit. Which quarterback or which center do the quarterbacks develop the best chemistry with? Is it Satterwhite? Is it Sam Pendleton? Pendleton's played. Satterwhite hasn't played. You got two young quarterbacks who've never been on the field and a transfer who's just now learning the offense. We heard a lot last year about how much Cooper helped Nico in terms of managing the game. So where is that relationship with the center and the quarterback? And if I'm a quarterback, I tell you what, I'm taking as many snaps as I can with Pendleton and Satterwhite and working on that chemistry and working on that communication, because there is a lot asked of the center in this offense to help with protections. And with a young quarterback, there'll be even more asked of the center. Can Pendleton handle that better than Satterwhite? That's the question this summer.
No doubt about it. Brent Hubbs is with us this morning. VolQuest's on 3. Hubbs, man, there's the conversation that Joey Aguilar has the most experience, been in multiple offenses and whatnot too. But you also wrote in your war room. By the way, if you guys aren't subscribed to VolQuest, you're hurting yourself by not doing that. So much information is there. But with that being said, too, you said Hype will double down on the idea that this team has to grow up and fast. There's no time to be young. But with that, the two young quarterbacks on this team, man, Jake Merklinger is one of those guys, right? And when you look at also George McIntyre, you're saying they're not going to lay down. What is that competition going to look like for those guys with Joey Aguilar?
Well, you look at Merklinger. There's a photo out on Twitter this week. What was he doing? He was working out with, a bunch of those receivers. He was working out with Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley, and he was working out with Travis Smith, the freshman. He's not going to roll over. He had the best spring he's had in his career. He's got more confidence than he's ever had. There's a guy coming in that doesn't know the offense, that's trying to learn the offense. And so what are you going to do? Are you going to – I mean, if you're a competitor, are you just going to sit there and say, well, they recruited over me? Or are you going to sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to fight because I believe I can win this job. And I can tell you right now, Jake Merklinger thinks he can win this job. Wow. He 100% believes that. That's not fool's gold. That is his 100% belief in where he's at, and he's going to go for it. George got better every day. I think the question with George is where's he at physically? Where's he going to be physically? We'll see, at the end of summer. He's got to add more weight. But listen, if you got a competitive bone in your body, man, you better not roll over. If you roll over, then you're in the wrong place. You're at the wrong level of football. If you want something just handed to you. And all three of those guys, going to show up and work. And who takes leadership reins? You guys have been around quarterback competitions. What does a summer look like when a coach is not there? Who's organizing the throwing sessions, right? Yeah. Who's the guy running the show and putting it together? When you have an established guy, you know who that guy is. When there's a quarterback competition, all of them are trying to run the show. So it'll be interesting to see how leadership emerges between those three guys this summer. Obviously, Merklinger is trying to take an early run at it when you talk about him working out with those receivers, as he tweeted out earlier this week.
Hubbs, right now there's a lot of conversation going around college football, too, and Greg Sankey's loud. Hubbs, one of the biggest conversations is, does the SEC get the benefit of doubt of only playing 8 conference games? Some coaches want it, some don't. But Sankey's saying our 8 is better than your 9, man. How are you viewing this conversation from the Big Ten and the other conferences versus what the SEC has going on, too, in their stance?
Well, the SEC coaches have made it clear. We don't want to play 9. And they've been that way for 4 years now. They don't have any desire to play 9 in this league because it's a gauntlet. So now you get down to, all right, what do you got to do to get to 9 games? Well, you probably go back to that 4-4 model where you have 4 automatic qualifiers from the Big Ten and the SEC. The Big Ten's comfortable with 4 automatic qualifiers because, quite frankly, where their league is right now, that's about all they're going to be able to get anyway in the playoffs, right? And I'm not trying to knock them. That's just where their league is right now. You've got 4 dominant teams. When you look at Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon.
Yep.
Everybody else kind of playing catch-up. Indiana had a nice year, but the schedule fell to them. So it'd be hard for them to get 5 or 6 teams. The SEC feels like they're worthy of 6 teams a year in the playoff. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. So to get to a 9th game, I think you have to have the 4 automatic qualifier model. Now, the question is, do they go that model? In the SEC, coaches said this week in Destin, hey, we like the 5 automatic qualifiers, but that's not 5 for each conference, obviously. That's just 5 in general, and we'll stay at 8 games. Yeah. Now, if you go to 9 games, the ADs are all about 9 games because that's going to be another $80 million to $100 million in TV money to the SEC, which is going to be divided among the schools. And we know every dollar counts in college athletics today.
Yeah, buddy.
So you really got, you from a competition standpoint, you got a bunch of coaches who don't want to play 9 games. From a financial standpoint, you got a bunch of ADs who want to play 9 games. Mm-hmm. How do you get to 9 games? You make the landing for the making the playoffs a little bit softer with this league. If you stay and you stay with the 5-11 model, the SEC says they're going to stay at 8 games. The Big Ten says, well, we're not signing off on a 5-11 model if you stay at 8 games. So you got a little line drawn in the sand, and we'll see what happens over the next 6 months because we got to know something by December 1st. And at some point, the SEC is going to have to put a 2026 schedule together for their teams to know who they're playing a year from now. Because right now, we don't have any idea what that 26 schedule looks like because we don't know if it's going to be 8 games or 9 games.
Wow. Hubs, and on the other side of that, too, like Ron and I are going to have a conversation later as it pertains to why the Big Ten feels this way and et cetera. Is it because the last 2 national championships have come from the Big Ten? Does winning football weigh heavier than almost any other sport? Because Sankey asked for basketball. Florida answered the call, right? We're looking at the college baseball last year. The Vols answered the call. Softball, with us getting Oklahoma, Texas, and having everybody else be good in the SEC. Is it football the reason why the Big Ten is feeling this heavy on this decision?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's football for a couple of reasons. One, it's football drives the train, right? It pays the bills for everybody. Now, basketball with the NCAA tournament makes money, but you're also, you got 68 teams getting in the field. Now they're talking about getting 72 or 74 or, I don't know, we're going to give out a participation trophy and let everybody in the big game.
Right.
The rate we're going right now. But anyway, it's not as big of a deal because you earn your way into the NCAA tournament, right? Like, I mean, strength of schedule factors. Look how many SEC teams made the tournament. Look how many SEC teams are in the softball World Series. Mm-hmm. Look how many SEC teams make it in baseball and where they're at in regional hosts. So the strength of schedule argument seems to carry more weight in those sports. The debate on the strength of schedule in football is much, much greater. Because, one, you don't play nearly as many games. Okay, so you look at basketball, and you got the Big Ten taking on the ACC schools in some individual, invitational tournament in the preseason. You have a real cross-section where you can say, clearly, the SEC was the best basketball league in America last year. Mm. You don't have that cross-section in football. Now, Kirby Smart says, hey, let's stay at 8 games. We'll all play some big boys across the country, and you get a gauge on where the SEC stacks up to the Big Ten or where they stack up to other leagues. But the strength of schedule argument in football is so different than it is in basketball, baseball, and softball. Plus, you got so much more money on the line, but because of the value of football, that's where that argument comes down the pike.
No doubt about it. Hubs, also on the recruiting front, man, there's a Tennessee legacy. Jason Witten's son is a 4-star linebacker, potentially hired. Cooper Witten, and not just him, but also local product too, Keyshawn Bowman, class of 2027 guys. How are they looking as far as the recruiting for this 865 they just had the past weekend and the future, and when they're going to start getting some of these commits nailed down?
Well, 865 Live went well. They had a bunch of guys in for unofficial visits, a bunch of priority guys that are in this upcoming class, the class of 26, and that was the goal with that weekend. The challenge now is to get them back for official visits. Tennessee will have really 2 big official visit weekends in June, with June 20th probably being the biggest. And a lot of the guys that were here this past weekend, Savion Hyder, the talented running back, and other guys are going to come back for an official visit probably June the 20th as it looks right now. This coming weekend is a bigger deal because this is an underclassman unofficial visit weekend. And this is going to be 27s and 28s, and that includes Cooper Witten, who's obviously a really talented linebacker who everybody in the country is after right now. Tennessee knows that they've got their work cut out for him. There's no assumption because his dad played at Tennessee that that's any kind of done deal or, they got the inside track. They know they got a lot of work to do there. Getting him in town this weekend is a big deal. They're going to have, probably 80 guys in town this weekend who are offer guys that are in the class of 27, 28. And it's just kind of a barbecue, hangout, get to know each other type deal. Then we get into camp season and official visit season. So this month is critical for 2 reasons. One, you're putting together your 26 class, and you got to get that done in the month of June because these guys are coming off the board. And 2, you're laying the groundwork heavy for what the future classes look like because you got to get them here for unofficial visits so you can get them back, multiple times for more unofficials and the official visit for when they're signing a year from now. So June has become the new January. It is a critical month in recruiting and football, and it has become the month to watch and this the month to follow recruiting if you're a fan.
Hubs, also, with that being said, on the hoop side, everybody who's a draft pick is coming back. I know he's done enough, and he's a hell of a coach in Coach Barnes, but Hubs, the SEC's hoop schedule and talent and rosters this fall is going to be insanely good, man. Where are the Vols at in that conversation also?
Well, they're going to be young, and they're going to be new, and they're going to be different. Now, they're going to be talented, but you're right. I mean, Auburn's bringing guys back. Yeah. Alabama's bringing guys back, and Florida's going to be everybody's darling. They're going to be the number 1 pick. Yeah. So it's going to be very different for Florida this coming year because all the expectations are going to be on them, much the way it was Alabama a year ago. Here's what we're seeing in college basketball, and this is the benefit of NIL. If you wonder why do you like NIL, when you only have 2 rounds in the NBA draft, and you're sitting there and a guy can go, well, I can go overseas and play in Greece or Turkey or whatever little small unincorporated place, Ron, you had to play in there for a few years. Yeah. Or I can come back to school. All my meals are paid for. My housing's taken care of. And I'm going to get a monthly paycheck that's bigger than what I would got in Europe.
Yes.
Well, I think I'll come back to college. Yeah. So the benefit of NIL in the college basketball world is it's going to continue to make the league or to make college basketball an older game, more veteran teams. I think that ends up being a better brand of basketball. Probably eliminates a lot of Cinderellas in March. Yeah. But, boy, it's going to make for a captivating regular season and a captivating tournament as weekends progress because you're going to get a lot of experienced teams returning every year.
I had heard on the baseball front that coaches at other schools, if they have baseball players that jump into the draft and they may go like 10th round or later, they're saying whatever your MLB contract is, we'll pay you to come to our school. So if it's an $800,000 signing bonus or contract, they'll just pay that kid to come back. Is that what is happening? What you're saying on the basketball front?
Well, I mean, we're seeing just ridiculous numbers in basketball. Yeah. I mean, you're seeing $2 to $4 million for an individual in basketball. Well, I mean, again, the government's going to take their taxes out of it, but you don't have any living expenses off of it.
So don't.
I mean, everything's taken care of for you. So why not play against great competition in the States to try to better your stock as opposed to going overseas and trying to figure it out over there and then make your way back? Or why do you go to the G League? What we're seeing in college baseball is, do I want to ride on a bus and get a meal stipend and a little check, or do I want to take NIL money where I've got a strength coach, a nutritionist, we fly on an airplane, we've got, all of our stuff is covered from a living expenses standpoint. I'm going to make more money playing college baseball if I'm a good player. Now, if I'm elite, I need to go to the draft when I'm draft eligible. But if I'm a college baseball player and I'm not there, I'm going to make more money in college than I am busting around and single A and double A baseball. Wow. And that's what we're seeing a lot of guys come back for because they're just not – it benefits them financially to come back. And they're playing great competition, particularly if you're in the SEC because it's the best of the best.
Wow. That's a great place to be. Hubs, I love and hate having this conversation because every time I see Savage over here and just shaking his head.
I can't stop.
And just
bobblehead every time this conversation
he was
comes
born
up.
too soon, Hubs. He was born too soon, man. Can you imagine?
I know Hubs got something buried back there in the backyard. I'll be up there soon to see what I can find.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the tough thing. And it, if you're a former player, you're happy for these guys.
No question.
Are you always going to have a bit of a jealousy factor to it? Sure.
Yeah.
No question, because you know how hard you had to work to make ends meet. And listen, I'm not saying you didn't have enough money to go to Taco Bell, all right? So let's be careful now. But I mean, this is generational type money for these kids. This is changing their families' livelihoods. And so if you're a former player who was a good player, who was brandable in marketing like Slay was, I mean, there's always going to be like, man, if my timing had been different, had I been later. Look at the game now. It's a positionless game.
Right.
That would have benefited you, right, Ron?
Oh, my
that would have
gosh.
helped your game.
Yeah.
And then the branding and the marketability factor of what you got right now. I mean, you'd be peddling everything under the sun in Knoxville, Tennessee if you were here. I mean, and look at how your the recruiting process would have been different.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, and I get it. I understand. If I were in those shoes, I would have, disappointment, some jealousy. Again, you're not against anybody making money now, but you look at it and say, what could have been?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of players having that. That's why we have the house settlement. I mean, this goes back to Ed O'Bannon, right? I mean, this is a 25-year lawsuit of saying, he's saying what could have been had I been taken care of the way student athletes should have been. Should there be guardrails around some of it? Absolutely. Are we out of control with some of it? Yes.
Yeah.
But do student athletes deserve a piece of the pie? Man, I don't think you're finding anybody out there, even the oldest of old school coaches, who don't believe student athletes should get a piece of the pie. Do they want regulation on it? Yes. But do they understand what the student athlete means to the game? Yes. And because of that respect, everybody believes that the student athlete deserves something. And if the NCAA, this is my soapbox, dadgummit, Ramon, you got me started this morning. They're going to be 9 points on YouTube's chat, like Hubs is long-winded. But if the NCAA had taken care of business 30 years ago and given guys some money, right now your salaries would be probably $250,000 for student athletes instead of guys making $3 or $4 million a year. And that's just something that the NCAA had no foresight. They didn't look at it that way. They wanted to hoard all the money up, and boy, it's costing them on the back end right now, big time.
Absolutely has, man.
Oh, we appreciate that TED Talk.
Man, we needed that. We needed that this morning. We appreciate
jeez,
that.
Hubs, I can't wait to see you soon, man. Well, appreciate you coming on with us, Brent.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Hopefully we didn't do anything too bad to get us in trouble, and you guys behave yourself the rest of the day. I look forward to watching you guys. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it,
Oh, man, appreciate it, Hubs. Man, that right there is Brent Hubs. Now, always brought to you by Ascend Federal Credit Union, your financial partner for every stage of life. We got to get through the break, but you know what's coming back. Still going to be Savage Radio.
Still going to be Savage.
Right here. Yeah.